This is Steel of War. What follows is a factual record of the naval vessels that operated at sea during World War II, documented in service, combat, and logistics between 1939 and 1945. World War II was fought across every major ocean, making naval power central to global operations. Warships enabled fleet combat, convoy protection, amphibious landings, and sustained maritime supply on an unprecedented scale. This presentation outlines the principal naval vessel types and representative classes that were actively used during the war, based on documented service. Battleship. Iowa-class battleship. The Iowa-class battleship was a fast battleship designed for fleet engagements and carrier escort duties. Armed with 9 16-inch naval guns, these ships provided long-range naval gunfire, shore bombardment, and fleet air defense. Commissioned during the later years of World War II, Iowa-class battleships served extensively in the Pacific theater, supporting amphibious operations and engaging enemy naval forces. Their heavy armor, advanced fire control systems, and high speed allowed them to operate alongside aircraft carriers. Battleships remained symbols of naval firepower, though their role increasingly shifted towards support rather than decisive fleet action as naval aviation expanded. Aircraft carrier. Essex-class aircraft carrier. The Essex-class aircraft carrier formed the backbone of United States naval aviation during World War II. Designed to carry large air groups, these carriers launched fighters, dive bombers, and torpedo bombers for offensive and defensive operations. Essex-class carriers conducted sustained strike operations against enemy fleets, airfields, and industrial targets across the Pacific. Their ability to project air power far beyond the horizon fundamentally changed naval warfare. Extensive damage control measures and armored flight decks increased survivability, allowing many ships of the class to remain operational despite combat damage. Escort carrier. Bogue-class escort carrier. Bogue-class escort carriers were smaller carriers built primarily for convoy escort and anti-submarine warfare. Operating in both the Atlantic and Pacific theaters, they carried aircraft optimized for submarine detection and attack. Escort carriers provided air cover to merchant convoys, significantly reducing losses from enemy submarines. Though limited in speed and aircraft capacity compared to fleet carriers, their numbers and strategic placement made them critical to maintaining maritime supply lines throughout the war. Heavy cruiser. Baltimore-class heavy cruiser. Baltimore-class heavy cruisers were designed for surface combat, anti-aircraft defense, and escort duties. Armed with 8-inch guns, these cruisers provided fleet screening and shore bombardment support. They operated closely with carrier task forces, defending against air and surface threats. Improved radar systems and enhanced anti-aircraft armament reflected lessons learned earlier in the war. Heavy cruisers balanced firepower, armor, and speed, making them versatile assets in naval operations. You are watching Steel of War. For documented military history presented in a neutral archival format, subscribe to Steel of War. Light cruiser. Cleveland-class light cruiser. The Cleveland-class light cruiser was one of the most numerous cruiser classes of World War II. Armed with 6-inch guns and a strong anti-aircraft battery, these ships primarily served in air defense roles for carrier groups. They also conducted shore bombardments and surface patrols. High production numbers allowed widespread deployment across multiple theaters, supporting sustained naval operations. Destroyer. Fletcher-class destroyer. Fletcher-class destroyers were multi-role warships designed for escort, anti-submarine warfare, and surface combat. Armed with torpedoes, dual-purpose guns, and depth charges, they protected larger vessels from submarines and aircraft. Fletcher-class destroyers operated in nearly every major naval campaign of the war. Their speed, Endurance and adaptability made them essential to fleet operations. Destroyer Escort/Frigate. Evarts-class destroyer. Escort. Evarts-class destroyer escorts were built to counter submarine threats and escort convoys. Smaller and slower than fleet destroyers, they were optimized for endurance and anti-submarine weaponry. Operating primarily in the Atlantic, these vessels played a central role in securing supply routes. Their deployment allowed larger warships to concentrate on offensive operations. Corvette. Flower-class corvette. The Flower-class corvette was designed specifically for convoy escort and anti-submarine warfare. Operated primarily by Allied navies, these ships were simple, rugged, and economical to produce. Though limited in speed and comfort, Flower-class corvettes escorted convoys across the Atlantic, significantly reducing merchant shipping losses. Their sonar and depth charge equipment made them effective submarine hunters. Submarine. Gato-class submarine. Gato-class submarines were long-range fleet submarines used extensively in the Pacific theater. Armed with torpedoes and deck guns, they conducted commerce raiding, reconnaissance, and special operations. Submarines targeted enemy shipping, disrupting supply lines and reducing industrial output. Gato-class boats were known for their range, endurance, and crew survivability. Fast attack craft. PT boat, PT-109 type. Motor torpedo boats, commonly known as PT boats, were small, fast vessels armed with torpedoes and machine guns. They operated primarily in coastal and island environments. PT boats conducted night attacks, reconnaissance, and harassment operations against larger enemy vessels. Their speed and shallow draft allowed operations in confined waters. Amphibious assault ship. Attack transport, APA. Attack transports were converted or purpose-built ships designed to carry troops and landing craft for amphibious assaults. They served as command and control platforms during landings. These ships enabled large-scale amphibious operations by delivering soldiers, equipment, and supplies directly to contested shorelines. Landing ship, tank, LST, landing ship tank. Landing ships, tank, were designed to transport vehicles, troops, and cargo directly onto beaches. Their flat bottoms and bow doors allowed rapid unloading during amphibious assaults. LSTs were used extensively in Europe and the Pacific, supporting major landings such as Normandy and island campaigns. You are watching Steel of War. For documented military history presented in a neutral archival format, subscribe to Steel of War. Landing craft, LCVP, landing craft, vehicle, personnel. The LCVP, commonly known as the Higgins boat, was used to transport infantry from ships to shore. Its shallow draft and bow ramp enabled rapid troop deployment. Thousands were produced, making them fundamental to amphibious warfare. Minelayer, USS Terror, CM-class minelayer. Minelayers were used to deploy naval mines to restrict enemy movement and protect strategic areas. These vessels laid defensive and offensive minefields, shaping naval operations without direct combat engagement. Minesweeper, Admiral-class minesweeper. Admiral-class minesweepers cleared naval mines from shipping lanes and amphibious landing zones. Their operations were essential for safe passage of fleets and convoys. Minesweepers often operated under hazardous conditions, directly enabling larger naval movements. Auxiliary and support ship, Liberty ship. Liberty ships were mass-produced cargo vessels used to transport supplies, fuel, and equipment. Though not combat vessels, they were essential to sustaining global military operations. Their continuous operation ensured that naval and ground forces remained supplied throughout the war. You are watching Steel of War. For documented military history presented in a neutral archival format, subscribe to Steel of War. Naval vessels of World War II formed an interconnected system of combat, transport, and support. Each ship type fulfilled a defined operational role, contributing to sustained maritime warfare across global theaters. Together, these vessels shaped naval operations between 1939 and 1945. This has been a documented naval record, Steel of War.